Think about your school years. What were you actually trained to do? You were trained to sit still for 8 hours. You were trained to memorize instructions. You were trained to raise your hand to ask for permission to speak or even to go to the bathroom. These are not the skills of an owner. These are the skills of a compliant worker. The school system was designed in the Prussian era to produce soldiers and factory workers. It was never designed to produce capitalists. It does not teach you how to read a balance sheet. It does not teach you how to identify a competitive advantage. It does not teach you how to leverage debt or how to build a system that works without you. It teaches you one thing: how to be a specialized part in a machine that someone else owns. He was right. A salary is a drug. It is a steady drip of morphine that numbs your ambition. It gives you the illusion of safety. You know exactly how much is coming in on the 15th of the month. This predictability feels good. It feels safe. But it destroys your ability to hunt. In the wild, a wolf does him for a bowl of food. But here's the problem with the cage. The owner of the cage can stop feeding you at any moment. We see this in every recession. We see this when technology changes. The loyal employee who sold his time for 30 years is suddenly let go. He is 55 years old. He has no assets. He has no systems. All he has is a resume that says he is good at following orders. And now, nobody wants to give him orders anymore. This is a tragedy of selling time. It works until it does not. And when it stops working, the fall is catastrophic. So today, we are going to break this programming. We're going to uninstall the employee operating system from your brain. We are going to look at the mathematics of serfdom. We are going to look at why tax laws are written to punish workers and reward owners. And we are going to talk about how to decouple your time from your money. You do not need to quit your job tomorrow. That would be foolish. But you need to quit the mindset today. You need to stop viewing yourself as a worker who gets paid to do a job. You will see a clear message. The government wants you to be an investor. It does not want you to be a worker. How do I know this? Because of the tax rates. If you go to work and earn a salary, you pay the highest tax rate possible. You pay income tax, you pay payroll tax, you pay Social Security tax. Before that money even hits your bank account, the government takes 30 or 40%. Now look at me. I make my money through capital gains and dividends. I sit in a chair, I allocate capital, and the government taxes me at a much lower rate, sometimes half of what a worker pays. I have famously said that my secretary pays a higher tax rate than I do. Because the system needs capital to grow. It needs factories. It needs innovation. It does not need more people just sitting at desks safe and sound. So if you want to keep more of what you earn, you must stop earning salary and start earning equity. Lesson 2, the inflation lag. This is the silent killer of the working class. When the government prints money, prices go up. We know this. But here is the secret. Prices do not go up for everyone at the same time. Asset prices go up first, the stock market booms, real estate booms, the rich get richer immediately. Then consumer prices go up, bread gets expensive, gas gets expensive. You know, he waits a year, maybe 2. By the time you get that 3% raise, you have already lost 10% of your purchasing power. You are running a race where the finish line is moving away from you faster than you can run. As long as you are selling time, you are always on the losing side of the inflation equation. Owners are on the winning side because they own the assets that are repricing upwards. Lesson 3, linear versus exponential. This is the final nail in the coffin. Selling time is linear math. 1 hour equals 1 unit of pay. 10 hours equals 10 units of pay. If you want to make twice as much money, you have to work twice as long. It is mathematically impossible for you to get rich selling time because you run out of time to sell. Wealth is exponential. When I buy a company, I do not need to be there for it to grow. Coca-Cola sells billions of cans a day, whether I get out of bed or not. Apple sells iPhones in every country on earth while I am playing bridge. That is exponential growth. My income is not tied to my effort. It is tied to the efficiency of the system I own. If you are a doctor, you are smart, but you are linear. If your hands stop moving, your income hits 0. If you build a medical software company, you are exponential. You can be on a beach and the software is still billing patients. You have to understand why you are still doing it. Why do you keep showing up to a game you are mathematically guaranteed to lose? The answer is in your head. It is an addiction. Welcome to part 3, the psychology of the paycheck. Now that we have proven that Selling your time is mathematically a losing game. We have to ask a difficult question. Why do 99% of people still do it? Why do smart people, people with degrees from Harvard and Yale, fight tooth and nail to get a job that pays them for their time? The answer is not logic. The answer is biology. Lesson 4, the heroine of the 15th and 30th. Now, Nassim Taleb was not joking when he said the 3 most harmful addictions are heroin, carbohydrates, and a monthly salary. Let us look at how a salary works on your brain. Human beings are wired to seek patterns and safety. The unknown terrifies us. When you get a paycheck every 2 weeks, it triggers a dopamine release. It tells your time. This creates a dependency. You start to organize your entire life around that drip. You buy a house that requires that drip. You buy a car that requires that drip. You become terrified of the silence between checks. This is exactly how drug addiction works. The dealer gives you just enough to keep you coming back, but never enough to set you free. If I gave you $5 million today, you would quit your job tomorrow. That proves that you do not love the job. You are just addicted to the drip. Who could have built empires? But they took a high-paying job at a law firm or a bank. They got hooked on the lifestyle, and 20 years later, they are just tired employees with expensive habits. They traded their potential for certainty. Lesson 5, the busy badge of honor. This is the second psychological trap. In the corporate world, if you ask someone how they are, they say, "Oh, I am so busy. I am swamped." They say this with pride. They wear their exhaustion like a medal. In my world, being busy is not a sign of success. It is a sign of a lack of focus. It is a sign of mental laziness. If you look at my calendar, you will see days that are completely blank. If you look at Charlie Munger's calendar, you would have thought he was retired for 40 years. We are not busy. We are thinking. The employee mindset tells you that activity equals productivity. If you are sweating, you must be working. The owner mindset knows that thinking equals value. If you spend all day chopping wood, you are too busy to design a chainsaw. Most employees use busyness as a shield. They fill their calendars with meetings and emails so they do not have to face the hard, scary work of thinking about their future. They are run on a hamster wheel. They are sweating. They are tired, but they are not going anywhere. You have to stop being proud of how hard you work and start being obsessed with how smart you work. Lesson 6, the social validation trap. This is the final chain that holds you down. Corporations are geniuses at manipulation. They know they cannot pay you what you are truly worth, or they would go broke. So they pay you in something else. They pay you in status. They give you a title, vice president, director, senior manager. These titles cost the company nothing, but they mean everything to your ego. You put that title on your LinkedIn profile. You give that business card to your friends. It makes you feel important. It makes you feel like you are somebody. But here is the brutal truth. That title is not an asset. It is a liability. It is a golden handcuff. I have seen people refuse to leave a job where they were miserable simply because they did not want to lose the title of vice president. They valued the applause of the crowd more than their own financial freedom. When walking away from prestige, I was walking away from Wall Street, but I did not care about the outer scorecard. I cared about the inner scorecard. I knew that if I wanted to build real wealth, I needed to step out of the spotlight and focus on the compounding. You have to be willing to look like a nobody for a few years so you can live like a king for the rest of your life. You have to be willing to give up the title. Remember, the wolf on the hill is not as hungry as the wolf climbing the hill, but the wolf in the cage is not hungry at all. He is just waiting for the slaughter. So how do we break out of the cage? How do we rewrite the operating system? We need to install a new code. We need to learn the owner's operating system. Welcome to part 4, the owner's operating system. We are now going to install the software that makes the rich get richer. You do not need to be a genius to run this software. You just need to understand 3 lines of code. Lesson 7, the art of equity. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. You will never get rich renting out your time. You must own a piece of a business. This is called equity. When I was young, I realized that if I worked for a salary, think of every dollar in your pocket as a soldier. You can send that soldier to the bar to buy a beer and he dies. He is gone forever. Or you can recruit him into your army. You can invest him, and now he goes out and captures more dollars for you. And those new dollars capture even more dollars. Soon, you have an army of thousands of soldiers working for you while you sleep. Most people kill their soldiers. They spend them on liabilities. The owner mindset is different. The owner eats last. The owner takes every spare dollar and buys freedom. You do not need to start a company to have equity. Not build Coca-Cola. I just bought the equity. And now every time someone opens a can, I get paid. Lesson 8, leverage without permission. For 5,000 years, if you wanted to get rich, you needed leverage. There were only two kinds of leverage, labor and capital. To use labor leverage, you needed to hire people. That is hard. People are expensive and difficult to manage. To use capital leverage, you needed to borrow money. That is risky. If you are wrong, you go bankrupt. But today, we live in a miracle age. There's a third kind of leverage. We call it zero marginal cost leverage. This includes code and media. If you write a piece of software, it costs you time to write it once, but then you can sell it 1,000,000 times. The cost of replicating it is zero for you while you are sleeping. It works for you while you are on vacation. This is the new oil. You do not need anyone's permission to use this leverage. You do not need a bank loan. You do not need a boss. You just need a laptop and a brain. If you are still selling your time 1 hour at a time, you are fighting a nuclear war with a stick. You must build things that can be duplicated without your involvement. Lesson 9, thinking in systems. The final piece of the owner's operating system is how you look at problems. An employee looks at a problem and says, I need to solve this. An owner looks at a problem and says, I need to build a system that solves this. Look at McDonald's. Is their burger the best in the world? No, but their system is the best in the world. They built a system so robust that any teenager can run it. They removed the need for extraordinary talent. You need to McDonaldize your life. If you are a freelancer and you are doing everything yourself, your goal is to make yourself useless to the daily operations of your income stream. If the business depends on you, it is not an asset. It is a liability. I have companies I haven't visited in years. They send me checks. They do not send me problems. That is a system. So stop trying to be the smartest person in the room. Stop trying to work the hardest. Start building an army of dollars. Start using code and media leverage. And start building systems that can run without you. Now, it provides the cash flow that funds your escape. But you need to change how you spend your time off. Most employees spend their weekends recovering from their week. They drink, they watch sports, they're recharging their batteries just so they can be exploited again on Monday. The owner spends their weekends building their exit. You are the CEO of your life from Friday night to Monday morning. That is your real job. During those hours, you build the side business, you research the stocks, you write the code, you create the content. You do this until your part-time income exceeds your full-time expenses. This is called escape velocity. And let me tell you, there is no feeling in the world better than knowing you can walk away at any moment. Lesson 11, the promotion trap. This is the final test. Just as you are starting to build your escape, the system will try to pull you back in. Your boss will offer you a promotion, more money, a bigger office, a fancier title. You must be ruthless. You must say no. A promotion is usually a trap. It demands more of your mental energy, paying you a little bit more to stop you from becoming free. I have seen men destroy their lives chasing the next rung on the corporate ladder. They climb and climb only to realize the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. Do not be afraid to be a mediocre employee so you can be an exceptional owner. Give the company what they pay for, but give your best energy to yourself. Conclusion, the rocking chair test. We have talked about money. We have talked about math. But ultimately, this is about regret. What will you regret more? Will you regret that you did not get that promotion to senior vice president? Will you regret that you did not buy a slightly nicer car in your 30s? Or will you regret that you spent 40 years building someone else's dream while yours gathered dust? Will you regret that you sold your limited time on this earth for a paycheck that is long gone? Time is the only thing you cannot buy back. I have billions of dollars, but I cannot buy yesterday the Ovarian Lottery. I won this lottery. I was born in the United States in 1930. I was born white. I was born male. And I was born with a specific wiring in my brain that happens to fit perfectly with a capitalist system. If I had been born in the 1200s, my talent for allocating capital would have been useless. I would have been some animal's lunch. So I admit it, I am lucky. But here is the brutal truth that nobody likes to talk about. Luck is just the starting line. It is not the finish line. I have seen people who won the Ovarian Lottery. They were born rich, they were born smart, they were born beautiful, and they died miserable. They wasted every single advantage, no connections, and yet they built lives of immense meaning and power. What is the difference? It is not IQ. It is not talent. It is their operating system. Most people go through life drifting. They are like a boat without a rudder. They let the current of society push them. They let their parents' expectations push them. They let the advertisers on television push them. They have no rules. They only have reactions. I have made thousands of investments. I have made billions of dollars. But the most important investments I ever made were not in stocks. They were in principles.